Look at the lock on your door, a small metal mechanism. You use it every day without thinking. The key turns, the door opens. Simple. But this little mechanism is the result of 4,000 years of human fear. The fear of losing what is yours. The fear that someone will enter while you are away. The fear of strangers. And that fear has driven inventors, engineers, and craftsmen throughout all of human history. From a wooden bolt in ancient Egypt, to biometric locks that open with your fingerprint. Today we tell the story of an object you use every single day, but know almost nothing about. Let's start with an uncomfortable question. Why was a lock needed in the first place? The answer seems obvious: to protect your property. But here is what is interesting. The lock did not appear when people first started fearing thieves. The lock appeared when people first had something worth stealing. The oldest locks in history date back approximately 4,000 years. They were found in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, and they were made of wood. The principle was simple to the point of genius. Wooden pegs were inserted into a wooden bolt. A special wooden key with teeth lifted these pegs upward, and the bolt could be slid open. Without the key, the pegs blocked the bolt completely. This principle, pegs that must be raised to the correct height, underlies the majority of locks that exist today. 4,000 years, and the basic idea has not changed. Approximately 2,000 years ago, the Romans revolutionized the history of the lock. They began making locks from metal. Iron and bronze opened entirely new possibilities. Locks became smaller, stronger, and more complex. Keys shrank so much that they could be worn on a finger as a ring. And that is exactly what Romans did. Wealthy Romans wore the keys to their chests and storerooms as finger rings. This was simultaneously practical and demonstrative. A key ring told everyone around you, this person has something worth locking. This person has wealth. The Romans also invented the first small locks for chests and boxes. These resembled modern padlocks, the same principle of a shackle that snaps into the body of the lock. But here is what is remarkable. All of these technologies, wooden pin locks, metal locks, padlocks, were invented in antiquity. In the Middle Ages, locksmithing became a genuine art form, not because the mechanisms became more complex, but because locks were decorated. Medieval craftsmen, blacksmiths, and locksmiths covered locks with elaborate carvings, plant patterns, figures of animals and saints. A lock on the chest of a wealthy merchant or nobleman was a work of art. A lock told you about the taste and wealth of its owner. The first attempts to complicate the mechanism also appeared. Craftsmen began making locks with multiple bolts, false keyhole openings, and clever springs. The idea was simple. The more complex the mechanism, the harder to break. But thieves kept pace. The profession of lockpick emerged, and it was a genuine profession. People studied mechanisms, practiced opening locks without keys, and passed knowledge on to apprentices. Some locks became genuinely famous, not because they were the most secure, but because of the stories attached to them. The Tower of London has been locked since the 11th century. For hundreds of years, it held the most dangerous prisoners in England: kings, queens, traitors. The locks on its doors were changed after every escape attempt. Some of those original locks still exist today, and still work perfectly after 500 years. In Venice, there was a lock so complex that only one key existed in the entire world. It secured the personal treasury of the Doge, the ruler of Venice. The key was never copied. When a Doge died, the lock was destroyed and replaced with an entirely new one. No one could inherit the secret. And then there is the story of Harry Houdini, the most famous escape artist in history. Houdini built his entire career on locks. And that obsession paid off. Houdini never met a lock he could not eventually open. He traveled the world challenging police departments to lock him up. They locked him in their most secure cells. He always walked out. The lock had met its match, a human mind determined enough to understand it completely. The 18th century was a turning point in the history of the lock, for two reasons. The first was the Industrial Revolution. Machines appeared that could produce parts with extraordinary precision. Locks became cheaper and more accessible. For the first time in history, an ordinary person could afford a reliable metal lock. The second reason was a public scandal that changed the entire security industry. In 1851, the Great Exhibition was held in London, a grand event where nations displayed their achievements. An American locksmith named Alfred Hobbs publicly picked two locks considered absolutely secure: the Brahma lock, which had resisted picking for 51 years, and the Chubb lock, considered impenetrable. Hobbs picked both, in front of thousands of spectators. In 1861, American inventor Linus Yale Jr. patented a lock that changed everything: the cylinder pin tumbler lock, the one we call the Yale lock. The principle is brilliantly simple. Inside the cylinder are several pairs of pins of different lengths. The correct key raises each pin to exactly the right height, and the cylinder turns. The wrong key, even one pin at the wrong height, and the lock will not open. What was revolutionary? The small flat key. Before Yale, keys were large and heavy. Yale created a key that fits in a pocket, that can be carried on a key ring. That is easy to copy, but whose combination is impossible to guess. The Yale company still exists today, more than 160 years later. Yale locks are on billions of doors around the world. One person with one invention locked the whole world. But the story of the lock did not end there, because a new enemy appeared. Not a lockpick with picks, but a hacker with a computer. The 20th and 21st centuries brought a revolution that the Egyptians could not have imagined even in their boldest dreams. The first electronic lock appeared in the 1970s in hotels. Instead of a key, a plastic card with a magnetic strip. The code can be changed instantly. Lost your card? Just reprogram the lock. No locksmiths, no new keys. Then came keypad locks. Locks that open with a PIN code. Then Bluetooth locks. Opened with a smartphone. Then facial recognition locks. Then fingerprint locks. Today there are locks that know who you are, where you are, and when you usually come home. A smart lock can automatically open when you approach the door, and lock itself when you leave. It can let a guest in while you're away, and send you a notification about it on your phone. But along with smart locks came smart thieves. The lock has traveled from a wooden bolt in an Egyptian palace to a biometric device in your smartphone. Over 4,000 years, it was a symbol of wealth and power. A Roman aristocrat wore the key as a ring, so everyone could see he had something worth locking. A medieval craftsman decorated a lock like a work of art. Alfred Hobbs picked the unpickable locks in front of thousands of people. Linus Yale locked the entire world with a small flat key, and all of it, for one simple human desire, that what is yours stays yours. The next time you unlock the door of your home, remember, in that small mechanism sit 4,000 years of human fear, ingenuity, and struggle. From an Egyptian wooden peg to a digital code, all of it so that what lies behind that door belongs only to you. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and leave a comment below. See you in the next video.